I try to send her some pretty flowers. So this week we're going to send her an arrangement with some hydrangeas and some sunflowers, pretty mixed greens, a little bit of kale. So when you come on, please tell me hello. Tell me how you're doing today. Tell me where you're from. We love to know that. I am going to start out with a container. Now this is a pretty large mouthed container. It's actually larger than my hand. The opening of the container is larger than my hand. And when you work with a container like this, you usually, or I usually, I don't know about you guys, but I usually like to work with floral foam or some type of grid. Now there are several ways that you can do that. You can soak floral foam and tuck floral foam in here. I can grid the top of the container, or I can use chicken wire as an armature. So today we're going to play with some chicken wire, which I have not done very often, and I thought that would be fun to work with instead of floral foam. Now I've had lots of questions about floral foam and trying to go green and not use so much floral foam. And I tell you, I would love to not use so much floral foam. My only problem is I have not found anything that would really hold flowers in place and be cost efficient. I have looked into finding some that was, it is like a moss based foam. It's like a pillow that you soak, and it's moss based. The only problem is it's terribly expensive. And so I thought, instead of using floral foam, flowers are not so happy in floral foam. It works really well for event work and things like that, but to send an arrangement and make sure it's long lasting to a home, it doesn't last nearly as long in floral foam as it does in fresh water. So we're gonna try some chicken wire today. I've got Owen and Victoria here. Y'all talk to me, ask me questions, tell me hello, tell me where you're from. We love to know all of that. So that we can talk, and I'll make some pretty flowers. So I am taking this chicken wire, and I am cutting it so that it's not so big. It's really a lot. So I'm going to cut it a little bit.
Ryan Schmidt says, it's been a while since I caught you live. Hello from Middleton, Wisconsin.
Hello, friend. So glad you're here, Ryan. Thank you for watching.
Miss Kathy Simpson says, hello. She's in Candler, North Carolina, and she's sick with COVID, but will return to the florist tomorrow.
Kathy, I'm so sorry you're not feeling well. Bless your heart. Okay, I'm just taking this chicken wire and I'm just wadding it up. Just taking it and kind of wadding it up in my hands, and I'm going to press that right down in to my container.
Brittany and Desiree both followed us on TikTok.
Thanks, guys. Thank you for the follow. Thank you. Thank you. It's been a while since we've been live over on TikTok. So glad to be here. Okay, so I just took that chicken wire and I just kind of wadded it up. And I stuck it down in there. So next what I'm going to do is take some tape. So this is a waterproof tape, and I am going to tape that wire down. So I'm just going to crisscross, and then I'm going to come around the edge with this tape.
On YouTube, you have lots of hellos.
Hello, guys. Thanks for being here today.
Miss Vera Barnes on YouTube says that she's from Franklin, Virginia, and she's the owner of Ceramics and Flowers LLC, a small florist on Main Street in Franklin.
Fantastic. We will go and look you up, friend. We'll come and give you a follow. We'd love to see your pretty shop. I'm so glad you're here. Welcome, welcome. Okay, so I just took and taped that wire right down into that container. Now this chicken wire is actually a coated wire. It's actually made for floral design. It's not quite as rigid as regular chicken wire that you could get at your local hardware store. I think this came from a craft store, but it really works well. So I just tucked that right down in there. Next, I'm gonna start with a little bit of greenery. Let me gather my things.
I also put you some salad.
Thank you, friend. Thank you. All right, let's see what all we have. So we have lemon leaf salal. I'm going to start with that. Lots of pretty lemon leaf. It's been a little bit since we worked with some lemon leaf. So I'm going to take my floral knife and I'm going to cut that stem, and I'm just going to tuck that right down into that chicken wire. And actually it's a little long.
Oh, thank you, Miss Margaret. Thank you. She liked my video.
I have not even watched it, Victoria. I'm going to have to go and watch it. Victoria has a new video over on YouTube, and I guess you posted it on Facebook too, huh, Owen?
Yep.
And Victoria did all of the stuff for that video, didn't you? Was that she filmed herself, she edited the video, she added the music and all the things. So proud of you, sister.
Thanks.
So fun. Okay, I'm just going around and tucking this salal right into that grid of wire. And so what that's going to do is just hold everything in place. It just kind of works as that foam. It just holds everything right in place.
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Crazy Daisy says, I made an arrangement today. It was hard to design it. Felt too tight. The flowers were going wrong.
It just takes practice, friend. It just takes practice, because there are days, and I've done this for a really long time, and there are days when I think, I am never going to get this arrangement right. But there have been times where I've just taken the flower arrangement apart and started over. But it takes practice, and I promise you'll get it.
Miss Cat Torres shared our video. Thank you, Miss Cat.
Take you for sharing. Thank you, friend. Thank you.
Janet asks, is this arrangement for a special occasion?
No, ma'am. This is just to take out to my mama to enjoy. She loves fresh flowers, and so Owen and Victoria, we're going to go out and visit and take her a pretty arrangement.
Oh, thank you, Miss Catherine. I'm glad y'all are liking the video.
All right, so there is our lemon leaf salal. Now I am going to add some greenery and foliage down around the edge so you can't see my tape, so don't worry about that. If you can see the tape, I am going to hide that. Next, I am going to come in with some coculus foliage. So this is a new foliage for us. We have not used this very often. It's not been very often. We actually got this from Budsy, and y'all, it's wonderful. Like, look how big and showy this foliage is. It's so wonderful. We've really enjoyed it, haven't we, Victoria? Mm-hmm. So I'm going to take my floral knife and I'm going to cut it in half. So I just took and cut that right in half, and then I'm going to tuck that right down into that grid that we're working with.
Miss Tanya followed us. Thank you, Miss Tanya.
Thank you, friend. So glad you're here.
Miss Catherine asks, how is your mom doing?
She's doing really well. She's doing good. Her spirits are high. She hasn't felt wonderful. She had a tough week last week in feeling bad, but she's her spirits are really high. Thank you for asking.
Miss Janet says, flowers for your mama is a special occasion. Hope she's doing well.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Miss Donna. Miss Rhea says she's loving the container.
Thank you, Rhea. Thank you so much. We found this container. So we have a wholesale truck that comes around, and he had some of these ceramic type containers on his truck. And so I think I purchased 3 or 4. I just think it's a really good looking container. Okay, I do have some eucalyptus that we'll add in the end, but we added our coculus and our lemon leaf salal. Next we're going to come in. So I have large flowers. We have some kale, if I can get them. So we have kale. Kale is an ornamental kale that we get usually as a cut flower. This is also the kale that you see people growing in their flower pots in the winter time. So let me show you a trick about kale.
Miss Jane Lewis on YouTube says, hello, good evening from South Wales.
So glad you're here, Jane. Thank you for being here.
Miss Vera on YouTube says, I always enjoy your designing. You make such beautiful
Oh,
arrangements.
thank you, friend. Thank you so much. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm taking each leaf of this kale. How it comes is it comes packaged really tight in a box. And so you can see how they've taken and have all those leaves kind of pulled up, trying to carefully deliver it to us. So I always like to take each leaf and very carefully just kind of fluff it. Breathe a little life into that kale. So I'm just taking and fluffing each little leaf.
Like an artificial Christmas tree.
Like an artificial Christmas tree. Right, you don't want to leave it flat.
So the magnolia tree asks, do you recommend wire services like Teleflora or FTD?
Okay, so I'm going to just tell you how we do it. We are not a member of any wire service. We looked at the numbers. We have been a member, I think, once. And then we are a member of Flower Shop Network, but I wouldn't really consider that a wire service. It's not like Teleflora or FTD. I feel like they take a lot of our money and we don't make very much. And we get all of these arrangements from all of the order gatherers like 1-800-Flowers and Ava's Flowers, and we don't make any money. And what they say is, oh, it's for advertisement. It is, you can do it on your own, friend. We are in a small town in Mississippi and we have not needed a wire service. Jason, what's your opinion on a wire service?
They're a rip-off. They rip you off and the customer.
Well, that's true. They definitely rip the customer off. I don't know if you've ever dealt with Ava's before, Ava's Floral. Anytime you're ordering flowers outside of, anytime outside of your town you're ordering flowers, make sure that you go with a reputable flower shop. Do not go with Ava's or 1-800-Flowers because they're going to steal your money. And what I mean by that is they're an order gatherer. They're not like a regular flower shop like we are. This is getting way in a tangent, and I apologize. And so what they do is they skim off the top. They take, I'm going to say $80. They call us and give us $45 of that $80 and ask us to fill it to full value. And so they're stealing from the customer. So it's important that you make sure that you call a regular in-town flower shop. I'm going to take that, so I kind of fluffed that kale.
Miss Janet says kale leaves bend like wire. They're not fragile.
Some of them are fragile, like I just broke one stem, but they really kind of, like with this kale, you're going to see how I'm just going to reflex it. So I'm just taking that leaf and I'm just flipping it outward.
And Miss Glenda asks, are those two different varieties of kale?
These are two different varieties. I am not exactly sure the name of the varieties, but this is kind of a lacy leaf, and then this one is more of it almost looks like a real cabbage, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. So I'm just taking, and it's got a pretty rigid, what do we call that? That's its center vein. Yeah. And you'll take that center vein and just kind of flip that petal outward.
Julian says he advertises on Instagram.
Really?
And he grew a great following and customer base there.
Fantastic. We lost our Instagram account, several years back. And so I'm having to rebuild Instagram. I am not the greatest with Instagram. Owen's actually been doing most of our Instagram.
Bearded Bouquet says, at a previous shop he worked at, Ava's would impersonate them on the phone.
Oh yeah, Ava's is terrible.
Lynn Jester asks, does your mom return your containers to you when the flowers are no longer in
She does, yes ma'am. And so that's why you've seen me use those same containers several times. Because some of them are my favorites.
Sea Dog says, howdy from Texas. Thanks for your videos and They're extremely helpful.
Oh, I'm so thankful that you enjoy them. Thank you for being here. And if y'all have any questions about any of the things that we do, you can always ask. We are so happy to answer any questions. Okay, you see the difference that this made after I kind of refluxed those petals and kind of flipped them out, and you can see the bottom. But it makes a huge difference. Now, for years, I did not realize that you were supposed to fluff these kale. And so I never could understand why anybody even liked to work with them. But look at how amazing that kale looks.
Julian says that he has 50,000 followers on Instagram.
Fantastic.
He says posting reels
has made the difference.
Yeah, does a good job.
Fantastic. Congratulations.
Miss Bonnie likes a cabbage kale.
Isn't that pretty?
Queso followed us, thank you. And Miss Cat says hi from California.
Hello, friend. Hello, hello. So there's our kale kind of tucked in.
Miss Kate asks, then how do you recommend your customers order for out of town?
Now we will still send flowers out of town, but I just call local flower shops. Now at Flower Shop Network, you can absolutely use their system and send out flower arrangements using their system. I think it's a 20-80 split, just like normal wire services are. But the fees are not astronomical. Like all of the fees for wire services are really expensive, and Flower Shop Network is not. And I have also just called flower shops and said, hey, this is Monty with Flowers by the Bunch. We're not affiliated with the wire service. Can I give you an order? And they certainly will take my order. So we do still offer sending flowers out for people.
Sea Dog asks, how long do arrangements last? How often should you change the water? Do you need to recut the flowers?
So in a fresh cut arrangement, these are white hydrangeas. I just took that stem and I cut that stem at an angle with my floral knife, and then I am going to nestle that hydrangea right down deep into this arrangement. I didn't cut it quite long enough.
Sugarbug followed us.
Thank you. So when you have a fresh arrangement, just fresh arrangement in water. Say you got one for your birthday. Great questions, by the way. Thank you for asking. You are going to take those flowers, and about every other day you want to change out that water. You can pull those flowers out and cut those stems using really sharp snips or a knife. A knife's not always the easiest. I touched that little guy in. And change that water every other day, and they will last longer. As the flower arrangement, as some of the flowers in your arrangement, they all have varying life spans. So as some of the flowers start to fade in your arrangement, just remove that flower. Just take that out and throw him away, and rearrange your flowers a little bit and enjoy them as they enjoy them as long as you can. But as they start to fade, start pulling those blooms out and rearranging.
Spruce and Ivy on Facebook says, the way I advertise is I pick a small local business every week and take them a free arrangement and introduce myself. That's how I have built my business, and I have some wonderful clients.
Fantastic. What a wonderful idea.
Miss Bonnie says hi from Georgia. She's a florist in Northwest Georgia.
Hello, Bonnie. Welcome. I'm so glad you're here.
Miss JC Lynn says hi from Alabama. She loves your TikToks.
Thank you.
Miss Shonda says, catching y'all 2 days in a row, you would think post-surgery I'd have time to catch more.
Oh, I'm
That's
so
all right.
thankful you're here, friend. Thank you for watching.
The Magnolia Tree says, I've always liked your content. I'm a florist and I learned from you. And she knows you're 100% honest.
Oh, thank you.
Miss Sarah, this is not a dumb question, so
No
don't
question's
worry.
a dumb question. Please don't ever think that, guys. Really, no question's ever a dumb question. These are called sunflowers. They are called Vincent sunflowers. Sunflowers come in 3 different sizes, small, medium, and large. I order medium every time. They're just right. They're not too big, but not too tiny. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. Her question was, does kale come from the wholesaler or the grocery store? And Miss Kelly also asks, where did you get your kale?
So I buy, I would say 95% of our flowers come from a company called Budsy. And Budsy is a direct farm direct company where we order cases of flowers farm direct. And so I ordered the kale from Budsy. Most all of the flowers that I ever work with are going to come from there, unless it had to be a special something and I needed to order it from our local wholesaler. Very, very seldom am I going to buy flowers from the grocery store. Not to say that I haven't if I got in a pickle, but very, very seldom am I going to buy flowers from the grocery store. And it's not that there's anything wrong with grocery store flowers, it's that they're more expensive than the wholesaler. And I'm a reseller, and so I'm trying hard to get this sunflower down in here. And I need to get the best price so that I can offer my client or my customer the best price. So that's the reason that we buy directly from the grower. I can get the best price when I purchase directly from them, and therefore I can pass that really great price and really great quality on to my customers.
Is the kale edible?
The kale, probably. It's an ornamental kale. And so, like, if you go to your local greenhouse or your local big box store where they sell plants and such that you grow, it's the kind of kale that you would grow in your pots in the winter time, in fall and winter.
Miss Bonnie says, are you working with Oasis or did you grit it?
I used some chicken wire, and I balled it up and I tucked it down into the container, and then I taped it. So I am working with a grid.
Miss Linda followed us. Miss Bonnie also followed us.
Guys, thanks for the follow, guys. Thank you, thank you. I gotta sneeze.
Miss Violet asks, can you use those kind of containers for artificial arrangement?
Yes, ma'am. Any type of container you can use fresh flowers with, you can use artificial flowers. So yes, ma'am.
Miss Sheila asks, are you not using Quick Dip?
Well, I should be using Quick Dip, but I don't have it on hand, so it's not the end of the world not to use it. But you see me use it a lot. So, yes, I'm working this. These are really large stems. And so it going down into this chicken wire is a little tough.
Miss Cat followed us and she asks, is that company only wholesale, the one that you were talking about?
So the company that I order from, yes, it only sells to retail florists or anybody in the floral industry that resells, like if you have a wedding business or those kind of things, you have to be in the floral industry to purchase.
Go ahead, sorry.
Miss Tammy.
We've got great questions, guys.
Miss Tammy asks, do you have to use Quick Floral Dip for the woody stems?
So the only thing that we use Quick Dip for, and it's not because you have to, the only thing that we use Quick Dip for is hydrangeas, and that's because the hydrangeas, we have issues with them going down more than we do with any other flower. Now, I have watched other wonderful florists use Quick Dip for every flower that they place in an arrangement, which is fantastic, but for me it's just a lot more work. So I often only use Quick Dip for hydrangeas.
Mr. Mike followed us.
Thank you for the follow. Thank you, thank you.
Miss Selena says she owns a flower shop in Arkansas and she loves watching you.
Thank you for being here. Thank you so much.
The Magnolia Tree says owning a flower shop is really difficult. Prices is something that she's not good at, and she says she thinks she's lowballing herself.
I want you to message me. I would love to answer any questions you might have about how to price flowers and how to make money in your flower shop. Message me. I'm so happy to help you.
Wanda Dill says, I've heard
Did we go dark?
Mm-hmm.
Sorry,
Okay, well, I've
guys.
got a couple questions while she's fixing that. Miss Bonnie says she owns a flower shop she works at a flower shop called Honeybee Flowers in Georgia, and you're a joy to watch.
Oh, thank you so much, friend. Thank you, thank you.
And Christina says, how do you suggest getting into floral decorating? It's her dream job, working as a florist.
So I want you to go and spend time in your local florist. Make friends with your local florist and volunteer some time. The way you're going to learn it is working in it. And that's how you're going to get started, I would just volunteer some time and spend time with them.
They're loving it, by the way.
Thanks, guys. Thank you. I think I'm going to go get some sticks.
Chris says he just set up his account with Budsy. They're wonderful to work with so far.
Yay!
And Sarah says she also just started talking to Budsy, and Bronk was so helpful.
Oh, I'm so glad.
Wanda Dill says, I've heard putting Sprite in flower water makes it last longer. Is this true?
It is true. And so, Sprite is sugar water, right? And it also... Did we go dark again?
The battery.
It died?
Oh, snap. So, Sprite has citric acid in it. So, it has, of course, the lemon flavoring, right? And it also has sugar. And so the lemon in the Sprite helps the flowers to uptake that water very quickly. And the sugar in the Sprite feeds the flowers. And so, yes. And then I would also add to your water just a splash of bleach, because that bleach kills any bacteria that might be growing in those flowers. So, yes, Sprite and a touch of bleach is going to help. It's this one that's shaking. Are we both shaking? Why'd you turn us, babe?
Oh, trying to get that out of the way a little bit.
I'm going to grab some sticks and I think some chamomile. I'll be right back.
I agree with Miss Rhea. I also love the different textures.
Thanks for watching, Bonnie. We'll see you later. And thank you for messaging us, Magnolia. I'll make sure she responds to you. And also thank you for following Miss Sarah. Victoria, do you know if alum powder works the same as quick dip?
Alum is the same.
It's just
Alum,
powder.
I think alum does it. I don't think it works the same. I think Monty has said with alum you can just dip your stem in there and then put it in water. I don't think you have to mix the alum with anything.
Do what?
With alum, you can just dip your stem in it and then put it in the water, right?
So alum is a powder. And so what I would do when I've ever worked with alum, I don't work with it often strictly because we have quick dip. Wet the stem of the hydrangea, cut your hydrangea, dip it in water, and then dip it in the alum, and then put it in your arrangement. You dipping it in the water is going to help it help that alum stick.
Miss Nanette on YouTube says she loves watching your tutorials. She started flower arranging for her church.
Oh, awesome!
She still has a lot to learn, but your demos help a lot. She says she's from the Philippines, and God bless you.
I'm so glad you're here, friend. Thank you. Okay, so these are birch branches. I think they're so fun to work with. We get these from our, this is a wholesaler, the same person who brought us these fun containers. He brings this in bundles of just birch branches. So it's really kind of a fun added touch. Kind of looks outdoorsy.
Sea-Dog says, is Victoria doing your videos? He's noticed a tremendous improvement of clarity. Lighting looks great. Nice job. He says, whoever's doing it, shout out.
That's you, Owen. So Owen
Victoria
and Victoria.
did one, the most recent.
Owen and Victoria do all of our YouTube videos and a lot of the reels. So if you see a pretty generic reel, that's usually me. I'm the generic one. But they do all of the fancy, like different angles and such. Owen and Victoria do all of that for us.
Thank you for following Miss Missy.
Miss April says, absolutely gorgeous. What price would you put this at?
I'll have to add it up real quick. I'm not exactly sure.
Miss Shonda says she's waiting on you to have a fun weekend class. She thinks you could fill it up if you wanted to. That might be a good idea.
We're working on it. We're brainstorming.
Barbara Neal says, thank you for telling me the difference between whole, medium, and large sunflowers. I actually bought large at the farmer's market, and I didn't know they were so huge and beautiful. She says she'll try to take a picture and message you.
Oh, they are so pretty. But I tell you, large are really hard to deal with in a flower arrangement. As a focal, I mean, they take up the whole space. especially in like a cut arrangement like we often sell. And so that's the reason I think if you were just going to use sunflowers in an arrangement, they're really fun. Large would be fine if you were just going to use sunflowers. And in this arrangement, I wouldn't necessarily mind large. But for me, for an everyday arrangement, that medium is really what I would prefer. Now this is chamomile or feverfew. It's just a filler flower, and this is new to Budsy. We have never been able to get feverfew before this year, and so it's been kind of fun to use.
Miss Cindy Marsh says, I'm really liking the height together with the drippy eucalyptus. Great combination. It's stunning.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. I'm loving this chicken wire, though. It really works well. I mean, it feels very firm. I'm not worried at all about the arrangement not making it there and not staying together.
Kate says, I was just thinking how nice curly willow would be in there, and you returned with branches. You read my mind.
It's funny. Often someone says exactly that. It needed a flower right where you put it.
The magnolia tree says, what is your favorite filler flower? Her Monty, M-O-N-T-I-E. Is that a filler flower?
Monte Cassino.
Monte Cassino.
Mm-hmm.
That's
so
filler.
mine is Solidago. Monte Cassino does not... I have had a hard time getting Monte Cassino in that's really quality. It's always hit or miss, Monte Cassino is. Now, I like it, but it's kind of hit or miss. But my favorite's Solidago, but it's yellow, and I'm a yellow girl, and so I use Solidago. I mean, we buy a case of Solidago every week. We use a lot of it.
Let's see. Go ahead, Victoria, if you have one.
I have two questions. Miss Barbara says, I see Queen Anne's lace on the side of the road, and people put them in arrangements. Is it poisonous to touch? Any precautions?
It is not poisonous to touch. The only precaution is you're going to get red bugs cutting it, and you need to make sure that the ants really like it, but it's not going to hurt you cutting it.
And Linda Jester asks, how do you decide what flowers you'll use for each arrangement if the customers don't tell you?
I tell you, it's really, so I just walk in the cooler and whatever speaks to me. Often I think of color schemes, and I'll ask. So if a customer calls and said, I have an arrangement for a birthday, often I will say, would you prefer jewel tones, bold jewel tone colors, soft pastels, or like birthday colors? And then they'll kind of give me a direction there. Sometimes they say, I don't care, just make it pretty. And so we'll just make it pretty. Every single arrangement we make is different. Unless it's ordered online, we do have flower arrangements online that we have to copy. And that's not fun to me. It's not fun doing online orders because we have to kind of copy a picture. And I don't love copying pictures. But our website, all of the arrangements that are photographed and pictured on our website are all our designs. So that does make it a little easier. We don't use any designs that we did not make ourselves.
Miss Linda says your mom is going to love this. Praying for your mom.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Go ahead.
Alon Lewis says, make sure it's Queen Anne's lace on the side of the road, and because she mostly sees hemlock where she lives, and it is poisonous.
Yes, and so you really need to look at pictures. Here in Mississippi, I have not found hemlock, but I have seen pictures of hemlock versus Queen Anne's lace. So pull up a picture and make sure that you get it right. For me, I have never seen hemlock growing.
Let's see. The magnolia tree says her Monte Cassino usually comes in okay, but by the end of the week it looks sad.
Yeah, and I don't love that. I have never had any issues with Solidago. Am I needing another sunflower?
I was actually.
It's kind of looking
wondering.
awkward, isn't it? Do I need something like down here so that it kind of sweeps up? Let me go get another something.
Depends.
Did I answer the question well for how do we choose different flowers for different arrangements?
I like
How
the.
would you
I
answer
like
that
it.
question, Victoria?
If I take an order and they really just don't have a preference, I think I will try to just pick colors based off of the occasion. For instance, for birthdays, I typically just try to do really bright and colorful. For sympathies, I'll either go more pastel or neutrals and things like that. So I also typically just try to keep in mind the occasion. Or who is it for? If it's for like a little girl, then I may pick more like pastel with some bright in it. I think it also just depends on who it's for. What
And
kind
even
of occasion
Gerber
it
daisies.
is.
So if they told me it was a teenager and she was 13, I might go with Gerber daisies. So yeah, I agree. It's kind of, it's just, and it's funny how Jason will sell an arrangement. Often he'll say, when they say, well, what is it going to look like? And he said, it's really going to depend on which artist gets the order. You know, because every designer, every artist is going to make it different. And you're going to see most of our arrangements go out. I mean, we design a lot alike, but we're all very different too.
Miss Violet asks if we ship fresh arrangements out of state.
So we do not ship our own arrangements. No, ma'am. So they don't come from our shop. If we call out of state, we are going to call a flower shop out of state and place an order with them. So we don't personally box up an arrangement and send it out of state. It just wouldn't make it. It just wouldn't make it.
The Lab Lover says that they love all your work. It's always
Aw.
beautiful. And
Thank you.
Baby Bear says that she loves using wax flower.
Oh, wax flower is wonderful.
That's my
Victoria
favorite.
loves wax. Yeah. Now, the only problem with wax flower is you can't get it year round. So, yes, it's fantastic when it's in season and it comes in healthy. Wax flower is always a little hit or miss depending on the season that you order it. And so, yeah, wax flower is wonderful. I wouldn't dare say that I don't love that.
Miss Brandy followed us. Thank you.
Thank you for the follow, friend. Thank you.
Miss Linda says, yes, you answered her question.
Thank you. I'm so glad.
Miss Margaret Lynch says, tomorrow night is Mama Night for the Rosary at the Grotto.
Thank you so much, Miss Margaret, for your sweet prayers.
The mechanics are going to be your used grid, right?
So the mechanics are the grid, yes. So I use chicken wire for the grid in this arrangement. And let me say, I'm going to order more of this variety, this type of chicken wire. You can order this from the craft store or from floral wholesale. But it's really, it's not as rigid as the type that you buy from the hardware store. And it's really easy to kind of gather. It's not going, it does bite, but not nearly like the metal type. And y'all, it's holding together very well. I'm not concerned about this arrangement falling apart at all. And the main thing is, because it is fresh water, it's going directly into fresh water. It's going to last longer. Let me tell you a trick on how to rehydrate hydrangeas though. Hydrangeas sometimes do not want to stay hydrated. Sometimes they're going to wilt. If a hydrangea goes down in this arrangement, you're just going to pull that hydrangea out. You're going to fill your sink with cool water and submerge the entire flower. Cut that stem, submerge the entire flower. It will completely rehydrate and you can put it back into your arrangement.
If any of y'all are interested in supporting us more directly, we have a sale right on our Shopify at the moment.
Yes, we have a Christmas in July sale with all of our ribbons and our bows. We actually just packed up and gosh, how many bows did we pack up for Miss Donna? 14 bows. All of our ribbon and all of our bows are 50% off with the promo code Christmas in July. If anybody's interested in buying ribbon, now's the time.
Miss Linda asks, is that type of chicken wire cheaper than the floral foam?
You know, the chicken wire, because you don't have to use nearly as much, probably. Floral foam, we order our floral foam from a company called Ludwig. I get a great deal on the floral foam, so it's not very expensive at all if you buy it in bulk. And I buy it in bulk because we use it a lot. But I have found that chicken wire versus the cost of floral foam is not a whole lot of difference. The wonderful part about chicken wire, though, is it's reusable. Floral foam is not. Floral foam, once it's used, it's used. You have to toss it. Chicken wire you can reuse, so that's wonderful.
Miss Valerie, there is no price point for this arrangement. It was just for fun. Or
It's just for Mama.
Yeah, just for Mama.
It's just for Mama. I'll try to count it up.
Do you sketch your arrangements before you make them?
Me? No, I don't even know what it's going to look like before I make it. I walked in the cooler. I did find an arrangement on Pinterest because I want to do different things for you guys. I need to look at different arrangements and different ideas. So I found a beautiful arrangement with sunflowers on Pinterest that kind of caught my eye, and I thought, we'll use sunflowers. And so we walked in the cooler. I pulled the hydrangeas and the sunflowers, and Victoria pulled all the foliage, and we put it together. So for me, as a designer, I never know what something's going to look like before I get started. And that's why I was telling the person earlier that said they struggled with a flower arrangement. I have struggled with flower arrangements because I might not have chosen flowers that I felt went well together. You know, so there's always a struggle sometimes.
Miss Violet asks if that type of chicken wire is cheaper than the hardware store.
Probably not cheaper than the hardware store, and they both work just as well.
And Miss Leanne asks, is seeded eucalyptus a type of eucalyptus, or is it just about when it's harvested?
Seeded eucalyptus is a type of eucalyptus. So there is a wide range of eucalyptus types. Seeded eucalyptus is a type. Now, this is new, it's new growth, and it has new seeds. So these are tiny seeds. It's just the season of the year. Seeded eucalyptus is not always available year-round because sometimes those seeds go to cups. They get kind of big and bulky, not as pretty as tiny seeds are. There is also gun-eye eucalyptus and willow eucalyptus and silver dollar. So there's lots of varieties, but this variety is called seeded, and it does change with the season. It looks a little different with the season. The seeds are really tiny right this second on seeded eucalyptus.
Where'd you get the chicken wire?
Chicken wire, I had an arrangement that came back to us that had that chicken wire on it. So I have actually not purchased a whole roll. That's just some that was recycled to the flower shop. So I will look into where we can find that particular chicken wire.
Sarah Ahmad is on. We got your mail, Miss Sarah.
We did, Miss Sarah. We got the seeds, and I am so excited to plant those. Thank you so very much for thinking about me. Thank you.
She says, I'm totally going to try that tip with the hydrangeas. Thank you. It's beautiful.
Of course. I'm so glad. Thank you.
We're good to go over here. Good to go.
She is counting out the price for those who were wondering.
If it's 70, I gotta go look on the board real quick.
Thank you guys for talking with us. I'm sorry that I didn't get to everyone's comments or questions. And for those of you who got your ribbon, I'm so excited for y'all. Thank you for placing an order with us.
It would be about $125. That would include the container, about $125. Who do we lack sending out? Miss Donna's bows we will send out tomorrow, Miss Donna.
Yes, and I think she said that she's excited to receive
Yay!
them.
And we did get those all tied for you today, and they're boxed up. And we even got the label on them, so they will go out tomorrow. Thank you for ordering those, Miss Donna. We appreciate you so very much.
I think.
You think that's it?
Miss Valerie says Since flower prices change, do you post prices every week?
We do. So most of the time our prices stay. It just kind of depends on the season. We have a lot of things that we have on standing. So like hydrangeas we have on standing, roses we have on standing. So we pay the same price most of the time with those standing prices. Sunflowers are always going to kind of stay the same. Anything that's specialty though, those prices will change, and it just depends on the season. Sometimes we have a board that is just a dry erase board that we change the prices as need be, but most of the time they all stay pretty much the same. The only thing that changes, like kale is not something we commonly carry, so I'll have to I just usually announce to the girls, kale is going to be this much, guys. You know, hydrangeas are always the same because we get those every week the same. Solidago is always the same. But it really, the greenery changes because we get new greenery every so often. I mean, every other week we'll get new greenery and from different companies, so it changes a lot. Yeah, we just changed the board. Any more questions?
I think Miss Valerie also did want to see if you could take a picture of the label or anything of the chicken wire. She wanted to see it. But,
I will try to find some for you. I don't have a label or anything like that, but I will try to find that, and I will post a link for you. I'll be happy to do that. All right, guys, thank y'all so much for being here. Thank you for all the wonderful questions. We had fantastic questions today. You can always ask more. Send me a message or send me an email. We're happy to answer any questions you might have. Be sure to check us out first thing in the morning over on Facebook. If you would like to join us for our devotion, we'd love to have you there. And do me a favor, sprinkle this video, share it with other people. If you enjoyed it, give us a thumbs up or a heart, and we will see you soon. Thanks, guys.